All right, hello once again. This is Jeff Scott, formerly of Rankin Technical College. It's been a while since I posted a video. There's a lot of reasons for that. I'm not going to go into them. But if you do go out to JPS-Jeff Teaches Programming out on YouTube, you'll find a single playlist out there called Jeff Teaches Programming-Python. There's about 70, a little more than 70 videos out there that I've done so far. I've been running the gamut pretty much as far as writing programs in Python, but so far they've all been console programs. That's going to change shortly, but we'll talk about that in a future video. What I've been doing though lately is I've been getting into the idea of working with databases, and I went back and I rewrote the SalesOrders CRUD program that I had done. I went back and rewrote that as a non-object-oriented program, and now I went back and written it as an object-oriented program. I'm going to do this one a little differently. What I mean is I'm going to show you the completed project. I want Visual Studio Code. And I'm either going to have one video on this or two. I don't know right now. Don't know, to be honest with you, right now. Don't exactly care. But I am going to go over every file that I put in here, what I did, why I did it, and there's two, I guess you'd have to call them errors still in the program. All right? But I want to show you what I've done with this. So if we go back here and I bring this up, again, there's my channel, JPS-Jeff Teaches Programming. So if you go and just put that into YouTube, you should find it. All right, 54 subscribers and 71 videos. All right, but if I go back to here, this is my course that I've been doing so far, the Python course. Here are the source files. Python DB that is now out there on GitHub, and I'll show you that in a bit. Sales orders, this is the last one we've been working on, version 4. All right, and I want to first explain to you how I broke it up, why I broke it up this way. Is there a better way of doing it? You know, one thing I can tell you is I've learned over time, no matter how well you think you've done something, there's always a better way of doing it. So could I have gone in here and probably made some minor to maybe some major modifications to make it better? The answer is yes. Will I do that? The answer is no. So right now, I've got in here, there's my database, salesorders.db. Here's the main file that we're going to go over in a minute. Because we want to be able to do a lot of work with classes and importing, etc., I've got an empty __init __.py here under my roots, so to speak. I've got one here under my classes folder, and I've even got one here under my tables folder. So let's quickly, just before we go through them, we're going to go through every file that's in here, more or less. Main is, for lack of better words, the driver. It's going to call everything. All right, so we'll take a look at that in just a moment. Under classes, I did this a little bit differently. I've got basically here two different files. This table.py is what all of the other classes in the program will inherit from. It has my generic functions in it. All right, database has my database functions in it. Again, we're going to go over all these in just a moment. Tables, if you notice, has each one of the 8 tables. So there's category.py, customer.py, employee.py, order.py, order detail.py, product.py, product vendor.py, and vendor.py. So it has all 8 of the table files. So let's go back and let's start with main. All right, in fact, let's bring it up in here. I guess that makes more sense. All All right, but let me close everything first. All right, I'm going to close this too. I'm not going to worry about running it right now, but you can see how this is set up. Let me close virtually everything I've got open here. So it's called OOP CRUD, and here I don't even need this example database anymore. You can see that it's empty, so I can remove that. All right. There's my sales order database. I'm not going to bring it up because if you try to, I could, but if I try to bring it up in here, you know, it's not made to be opened up inside of Visual Studio Code. So I'm just going to leave that. Here's the empty init __init__.py, and here's main. So let's start by going through main. First of all, notice it ain't short. 250 plus lines. And I tried to set it up because there's virtually no comments in here. So I've tried to set it up so it's pretty much self-documenting. All right. Now, notice on this one, I'm noticing here that it's not even using this, so I probably could remove it, but I'm not going to. So this is bringing in database.py, plus this is bringing in all 8 of the table classes that I have in there. All right, and you can see that this table thing is under classes table. The database is under classes database, but this, all of these are under classes.tables, so they're under that folder. All right, now if I'm going to go down to the bottom. Let me explain why in just a second. This is main. So the first thing I'm going to do in here is I'm going to instantiate a database object. And we'll call it DB. All right. Then we're going in here. And what we're going to do is we're going to choose either the table to be working to work with, or to exit the program now. Okay, so if it's a 1, it's category. If it's a 2, it's customer, etc. I'm not going to read these. I thought about it later, and it might have been better to put this into some kind of a switch statement, but it's fine the way it is. So these are all calling handle table except for number 9. Handle table is in this routine. We're going to look at it in a minute. But you'll notice in each case, it's passing the name of the class and our DB that we set up right here. If we choose a 9, we're just going to close our database and break, which is going to exit the application. If we put in anything other than 1 through 9, we should hit this. Invalid choice, please select again. And I've gotten to the point too here, when I check these things, I make them strings because you never know what somebody is going to key in. All right, so this is the call to main. So let's just kind of walk this through. So handle table. You'll notice here it is, and it's pretty flippin' big. All right, so again, while true, the first thing we do is we display our CRUD menu. All right, so we're going to call that, and that's right here. So we've already chosen in here, well, actually, I shouldn't say that, because first, down here, there's this display main menu. And you'll notice, there it is. So that's going to come up, and it's going to show us 1 for category, 2 for customers, 3 for employees, 4 for order details, 5 for orders, 6 for products, 7 for product vendors, 8 for vendors, and 9 to exit. All right. But once we've done that, and then we're coming into handle table, and we've already passed in what we're working with. All right. So we're calling display CRUD menu. So now we want to know which of the 4 CRUD operations we want to do. Do we want to create a new record? Do we want to read all existing records in that table? Do we want to update a table record? Or do we want to delete a table record? Or as it says, we can go back. We can do a 5 here. All right. So we're going to return input. You'll notice in here, one thing I did not really do in here is we're not checking for bad input. All right. So if it's a 1, okay, it's category. And that's the table that we're working with. So remember, if it's a 1, it's a create. The only field that we have for category is category description. So we ask the user to input a category description and we create that record. If it's customer, as you can see, we've now got about 8 or 9 fields. A first name, a last name, street, address, city, state, zip, area code, and phone number. We input those and we create again. Employee is basically the same thing, except rather than customer first name, customer last name, customer street address, etc., it's employee. In fact, now that I see this, I never mind going back. I'll take what I do when I'm finished here, and I will resave this out to GitHub. All right, so here we're entering the employee information, and then we're creating the employee record. Order detail, we're bringing in the order detail fields. All right, this is a join table, if you remember, to join orders and products. Orders, products, product vendor, which is another join table. The join tables are where we have to actually add the IDs. All right, and vendor. Okay, now that's only for the create. So if it's a 2, then it's a read. Now the nice thing is we're able to write a generic function here. We're going to call this table read regardless. Now you'll notice up here we called table create. Well, let's take a look at that. So that's going to be in table. So under classes, there's table.py. All right. So when we created the database, basically, all right, we're coming in here. There's the table name. So when we create, this is very similar to things we've done before. We're grabbing everything that we have, we're putting it together, and we're doing an insert into that table where we're joining those fields together. All right. If it's a read, it's pretty darn simple. Select star from the table name and run the query, then do a fetch all. If it's an update, very similar to the create, but remember, for an update, we have to do a set. We have to do typically a where, because we don't want to update everything. And for a delete, we're again doing this kind of thing. Now, I did add a little bit onto this. You'll notice there's a get record by ID. We'll get into that a little bit later. That's another thing that we had to add in here. So for the create, we're doing this. This is allowing us then to create a new record in the table, all right, that we're passing in. Read is going to allow us to read all those records. So again, for number 2, this is pretty easy. Table.read. And for all of them, just print them all out. 3, again, is not quite as simple if you look in here. Because why? Because 3 is an update. So we have to get the ID of the record we want to update. This is where we're calling that get record by ID that I just showed you. If we put in something that doesn't exist, we're just going to skip it. There's no sense in going on. All right. Then if it's category, we allow you to do this. Now, this is kind of ugly, and I didn't make it as long as I could have. All right. But if you do hit enter, it'll keep whatever value was in there previously. There's employee, there's employee ID, there's order detail, there's order, there's product, product vendor, and vendor. If I get down to 4, it's enter the ID to delete. And again, it's a generic routine where we're calling table.delete, and that's going to call this. All right. Otherwise, it's an invalid choice. Start again. Now, that's pretty much it for main. I'll leave all these up there as I'm going through these. The next one I want to quickly go through on here is database. All right. This is when we said DB equals database. This is what happened. All right. It came up and it brought in our sales orders database, set up a connection, set up a cursor. When we call commit, this is what's happening. And when we call close, that's what's happening. All right. All right. I'm going to pause just for a second here. Okay. So I left off here and we have now gone over main. We've gone over the table class. We've gone over the database class. So let's take a quick look at the classes that are under tables. All right, they're all going to be very similar to one another, and they're all pretty simplistic. So if we start here with category, notice in the init, we're basically saying, okay, super, which means call the parent and let it know that the table we're dealing with is the categories table. All right. Then for the create, we're passing up the category description again to the parent. Delete. Notice on here, when with the delete, we had to let it know what the primary key was, which was the record ID, or the category ID here. Also, you're going to see the get record by ID is going to be in each one of these two. And again, that's calling in the parent and the same kind of thing. So this is deleting it, but you've got to get it first so you know which one you want to delete. And you'll notice if I go on to customer, it'll look very similar. The difference is there's more fields, but the way that it's set up is the same as the last one. In other words, there's the init. Here's the create. The create in the last one, again, all we had in that last one in category there was just the one field. All right, now we've got multiple fields. The delete, and again, this is the customer ID is the primary key on both these. We go to employee, and you'll notice again, it's virtually identical to what we just looked at for customer, except where these previously said customer, they now say employee. All right, order. Now, there's 4 left here, and 2 of the 4 are our join or our junction tables. They are order detail and product vendor. With order detail, you'll notice that when we did this, when we created here, all right, we had to basically ask for the order ID and the product ID. That wasn't an issue, but as you'll see a little bit later, in the, maybe I should have come in here and done more work or done something with the update, because if we look at the update in here, it doesn't work exactly the way it really, technically it doesn't work, and we're going to show you that in a minute. There's product. Product vendor. And finally, vendor. All right, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to close all these. I'm going to close this. Just keep main open here, and I'm going to run it and show you what works and what's still problematic in this. All right, so if I run it, and there you go. So select the table. We're going to go run through each one of these. So I'm going to do a 1. All right, so 1 was categories. So if I put a 2 in here, it shows me my current categories. There they are. Those are the 6. So if I put a 1 in here saying that I want to add a new category, it asks for a description. All right, so we'll put in here new category description. If I do a 2, you can see that it's in there. I can do a 3 to update. All right, so I want to put in 7 there. Now I've got my choice. This is actually wrong. This should have had the value in it, but I'm leaving it the way it is. So I can leave it the way it is by hitting enter. Just to prove that, I'll hit enter here. And it should then say, when I run this again, sorry about that, it should say new category desk. And it does. But now if I say a 3 for number 7, and I say new cat description, and I do a 2, you'll notice that it's changed. Finally, I can do a number 4, and it's 7. All right, and if I do a 2 again, boom, it's back to the way it was. I didn't put in all those messages like I did before, like category removed, category inserted, etc. To tell you the truth, one of the reasons that I haven't been posting lately is I spent a lot of time on this one. All right, it still isn't really where I want it to be. Now I want to go back to the main menu, so I'm going to do a 5. And now let's do the same thing with customers. So if we look, there's our customers. Those are the ones that we had. So I'm going to add myself as a customer. All right, so there's that. Let's see if I was added. And there I am. All right, let's update. So that's number 28. Let's make it Jeffrey instead of Jeff. We'll keep Scott. We'll keep that. Let's just change this to St. Louis, Missouri. And let's see if it took those changes. Whoops. All right, so that's a 2 is what I need in here. So there it is. It's now Jeffrey, St. Louis, etc. So that all worked. Let's see if I can remove that one. And everything looks good so far. I go back. All right, so I'm up to here. Now, this is the first place that this, for lack of better words, kind of breaks. It'll be in the update for order details and the update for product vendors. But in all fairness and in trying to be complete here and showing you this, this is what I've got. I'm going to leave it the way it is, and I'll explain why in just a bit. So this will be number 4. If we put a 2 in there, those are the order details. So let's add a new one. So 1, 944, 38. Price, let's make it $255. And the quantity ordered, let's put in 1,000. All right, so there it is at the bottom. Okay. Now the problem here is when I try to do an update, because it says enter ID to update. So if I put in 944, I get an error because it's expecting 2 of these. So let's try it again. Okay, again, this is number 4. You can see that that's still in there. So let's do the whole operation. So in other words, let's put in a 3 and let's put in both. So 944 and 38. I get an error doing that. So regardless of how I do it, I get an error. And it says there row value misused. And previously when I did it, probably doesn't have it on here anymore. I don't know if it does or not. Nope. All right, so I'm not sure exactly how to fix that. I didn't probably give it as much due diligence as I should have. But when you look in here now, if I bring up again order details, which is 4, and I look, here's the last one, still there. So if I do a 4 to delete, and I say, now it asks me 944. All right, and it doesn't give me an error. But if you look, that's still in there. So if I try it again, and I try a 944 and a 38, again, I don't get an error, but it also doesn't remove them. So I'm not sure what the problem is right there. So there's a problem with the join tables, okay? So far in here, categories, customers, employees work, problems with order details. Now what you're going to find is orders, products, and vendors is going to work, but we'll have the same problem with product vendors. So let's put in 5 for orders. Let's look at the last order. Well, we're going to put it in order. Okay, so let's put in today's date, 2024, 10/30. And we'll say it's going to be in 2 days. So 2024, 11/01. Customer ID, 26. Employee ID, 7. All right, let's see if it took that. So we'll put in a 2, and here's our last one. All right, let's update. So we'll do a 3. We want to update 946. We'll leave the dates as they were. Oh, that's the only thing we can update. I set it up so you cannot update those ID fields. Now, I could have, but I thought that'd be more problematic to do that. If I don't want 26 and 7 in there, then really what I should do is come in here, that's 946, and then do a 4, 946, and then come back in and add it again. So 1, the order date again would be 2024, 10/30, and then 2024, 11/1. Now for the customer ID and that stuff, I should make it more like this. So let's make it 1023 and 701. All right, let's see if it made those changes. Whoops. Well, this was the last one we just did. So 946. We're going to leave it all the way it was. There. 2. And you can see everything has been changed. So that one worked. Let's see if we can remove 946. And it's gone. Okay. All right, let's go back again. So we're up to products, which is number 6. And if we take a look at what's in there, you'll notice we have 40 products. So let's create a new product. Product name, we're just going to say new product. No description. I'll put in none. None. The URL, newproduct.com. That's the image URL. Should have been a JPEG or something, no problem. But $200, $200 for the quantity, and let's see if it put it in there. Oh, that was category ID. Okay, 2. There it is. New product, none, none. So it's all there. So let's see, that's 41. So let's go in and make changes. We'll leave the product name as it is. We're going to change this to nothing. Actually, right now, if I just hit enter, there isn't anything. So let's put a blank space in there and another blank space. The image, let's put hello dot ping. Price, let's change it to $100. Quantity to 100. And the category ID to 4. And you can see they've all been changed. I should be able to remove this one as well. Again, this is 41. And you'll notice it's gone. Going back. So that's, again, out of the first 6, I had problems with order details. I'm going to run into the same problem right now with product vendors. So let's put a 7 in there and a 2, and you can see all the stuff that's in there. So let's first start with, let's add a new one. Notice it's asking for the product ID, so I'm going to put in there 30. Now it asks for the vendor ID, and I'm going to put in there 8. Now it asks for the wholesale price. Let's put in $100. Days to deliver, let's put in 28. And wow, I'm getting an error. It says I'm violating the unique constraint, which means I already have something in there with 30 and 8. So really what I should have done in there, in the delete, I put in the exception handling, but I didn't do it in any of the other ones, and I probably could have. All right, so finally the last one I want to quickly show you. I'm just going to stop that one there. And that is vendors. You'll notice we have 10 vendors, so let's add a new one. New vendor. 1, 2, 3, third place. Fallon, Missouri, 63368. 314 234 5678. 314 234 5679. Web page. New vendor.com. Email address newvendor@newvendor.com. Let's check. You can see that it's been put in there. We can update. Let's change the name to some new vendor. We'll leave the address as it is. The city, let's change to Lake St. Louis. We'll leave the state the same. We'll change the zip code to 63367. Phone number will leave the same. Fax number will leave the same. The web address will change to somenewvendor.com. The email will leave the same. Oh, didn't like that. Well, I guess there's another problem. So let's run this again and see what it did, if anything. So that's 8, 2. It didn't make my changes in there. All right, I'm a little concerned about that. Let's look under classes, tables, vendor. Just bring that one up. I've got email address here. I've got it here. Oh, that's in create though. Not sure what the problem would be in there, so let's open. I've got to go back up one here and go to table. Update should have been okay. Let's go back to main. Okay, this is vendors. vendor, there's the email address. This is update. It looks like it should be okay, but for some reason it's not accepting what was there. Okay. Now, you can look at this and say, well, that was kind of a horse's butt explanation. And maybe it was. All right. But I put it out there. So now, if you do go out to my GitHub page, which is JP Scott Rankin, all right, and you look under repositories and you type in here Python DB, there it is. And this has got a boatload of stuff in it. It doesn't look like it, but it does. Employee table demos. There's 3 demos right there. Under sales orders, there's 4 versions, and the one we're looking at now is the last version. All right, now hopefully that helps. It's not perfect by any means. Now, what I want to tell you quickly now here is I want to go on now and I want to write some graphical or GUI types of programs. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at a few things, such as this was a tkinter or tkinter. It depends on who you read as far as what this is called. But there are different ways that you can do GUIs in Python. I picked tkinter or tkinter. The reason I picked it is it's probably the easiest to start learning right out of the box, and there's very little. It comes with Python, so there's nothing special you have to do. So I'm going to go over this. I'm going to go over this, which is a tutorial. All right. And I'm not going to even lie to you. Let's just be honest here. I found this thing. It's called Neural 9. And I'm looking in here. I've been looking at this. And the gentleman who did this, let's see, I'm at 1828. He created a Python calculator. Let me show you what it looks like. It's going to look pretty much like this. It's not complete yet, but it's going to look more like that. And you can put whatever you want in here. Now, by no means is it perfect, but it should get us on the road where we can start to use tkinter. All right, now what I'm going to do before we go over that one, though, is like I said, I want to go over this cheat sheet. I want to go over this tutorial. This Neural 9 also had this thing,
window, we add some,
which was a tkinter beginner course. It's 39 minutes long, basically. And I thought, you can see, I went through it. This is the second time through it. I'm 17 minutes through it, going through it again. This is my first time through this calculator, and I'm 16 minutes into in fact, I'm 18, I think it was 1824 or something like that into this. All right, I want to go through that, and then this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to start by taking that game that we did a long time ago where you had the guessing game, and I'm going to make that a GUI. It's going to be very simplistic, but we'll do that first. Then we'll take the simple calculator that I made, not the one you're seeing here, but the simple calculator that I made, and we will make that into a GUI as well. All right. Now, there's a lot of stuff out here. I found tic-tac-toe out here using Python. I found learning Python by creating a calculator, and I'm going to try to reference these. I mean, and they're good. This one's pretty good. I mean, notice it looks a lot more like a, quote, real calculator, unquote. And we've got here what? A clear. We've got the different buttons. We even could put other stuff here. They've got the word square root here. We could put the symbol. We could put memory, etc. in here. It would involve more work, but there's different things that you could do. So again, what I plan on doing next is having several different lectures. I'm just going to call it T-Kinter. Okay, just for those of you who think it's TK Inter, that's fine. All right, but I'm going to do that particular thing next. All right, so I've shown you where this stuff is and what the next thing for me to do then, and I've already started with some of this, just so you know. I've already started working on some of this. In fact, I think I've got a folder in here that's called TK that I've been just playing around with stuff. Of course, there it is. And you can see some of the stuff that's in here. All right. I grabbed their tic-tac-toe game, but there's the guessing game. So let me go back to that one. And we'll open it with code. I'm going to go to the, this is the guessing game. All right. And I'm going to run this. All right, so choose options. Do you want to guess a number between 1 and 10, 1 and 100, or 1 and 1,000, etc.? All right, here's my calculator that I've redone. Okay, so there's that. Oh, no, wait a minute. I did it as a text file first. Okay, so forget that. But this is what you're going to see. All right, so there'll be several lectures on T-Kinter. And after we get done with that, then I want to talk about how we can use Python to create websites. And there's two basic ways. There's more than two, but the two basic ways you typically see are by using Django, DJANGO, or Flask, FLASK. All right, there's similarities, there's differences, but I want to go through those as well. So that's what I plan on doing next. So hopefully you don't feel robbed because I didn't spend a boatload of time on this one. But I did what I did. All right, so I'll be back talking with you about T-Kinter in just a bit. Thank you.